In early 2026, the artificial intelligence industry crossed a massive, invisible threshold. We're no longer in the era of, look at this cool chatbot. We are in the era of mission-critical enterprise infrastructure. And frankly, it's making the market very, very nervous. Right now, the global software sector generates about $780 billion a year, but the projected data center investments to run these new AI models? A staggering $7 trillion by 2030. Investors are looking at companies like OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google and asking one simple question: where is the ROI? And the answer is coming at the cost of traditional knowledge work. Companies are integrating Agentic AI, AI that doesn't just chat, but actually executes multi-step tasks autonomously. Salesforce has cut support headcount nearly in half. AI is writing up to 50% of the internal code at Meta and Microsoft. We are witnessing a fundamental compression of margins for human expertise. Today, we are going to look at the exact state of the global AI landscape in February 2026. We'll break down the Trilateral War in Silicon Valley, the massive geopolitical shockwave coming from China, and why Google's newly released Gemini 3.1 Pro might just be the Trojan horse that commoditizes the entire industry. Let's dive in. The idea of a single God model ruling everything is dead. In 2026, the premium tier of AI has fractured into specialized vectors dominated by three giants fighting what we can call the Trilateral War. First, we have OpenAI. They've shifted away from just piling on raw parameters and are now focusing entirely on cognitive density and execution speed with the GPT 5.3 series. Using their internal Garlic architecture, the model dynamically routes computing power based on task complexity. Their developer-centric model, GPT 5.3.Codex, is an absolute monster. It acts as a general work agent, navigating real-world operating systems and achieving an absurd 64.7% success rate on the OS World Verified benchmark. Then there's Anthropic. Claude 4.6, specifically Opus and Sonnet, remains the undisputed king of high-reliability expert reasoning. If you are a bank, a hospital, or a law firm where an AI hallucination could cost you millions, you use Claude. It operates at a steep premium, $15 per million input tokens for Opus, but it tops human preference leaderboards for expert tasks. But here's the catch. Both OpenAI and Anthropic are charging premium prices for premium reasoning, and that is exactly the vulnerability that Google is trying to exploit. But before we talk about Google's latest counterattack, we need to talk about the wild card that is terrifying Silicon Valley. The most profound geopolitical shockwave in February 2026 isn't coming from California, it's coming from China, specifically from DeepSeek V4. DeepSeek V4 is a 1 trillion parameter open weights model that completely breaks the capital-intensive scaling laws we are used to. They introduced something called the N-gram conditional memory architecture. Instead of recomputing information every time, it uses an advanced lookup table for static knowledge. What does that mean in English? It means DeepSeek V4 can match Claude Opus 4.6 on massive coding benchmarks, but you can run it locally on a single RTX 5090 GPU or access it via API for pennies. It is an existential threat to the massive profit margins of Western cloud APIs. Meanwhile, India is pioneering the third way. Instead of just consuming Western AI, India is building shared national compute infrastructure, treating GPU power as a digital public good under the India AI mission. They are stress testing 12 indigenous foundation models at population scale. The rest of the world is realizing that AI dominance won't just belong to the companies with the biggest wallets. Amidst this hyper-competitive chaos, Google dropped Gemini 3.1 Pro on February 19, 2026, and it is a deliberate, aggressive maneuver to capture the enterprise volume war. First, let's talk about architecture. Gemini 3.1 Pro has a massive 1 million token input context window. And because it is natively multimodal, it doesn't just read text. You can feed it entire code repositories, multi-hour video lectures, and massive legal portfolios all at once. For enterprises, this means you can often bypass clunky retrieval-augmented generation pipelines. Nothing gets lost in translation because the model sees the whole picture simultaneously. And the benchmark leap is huge. On ArcAGI-2, a test of a model's ability to solve entirely novel logic patterns, Gemini 3.1 Pro scored 77.1%, more than double its predecessor. It also slashed hallucination rates down by 38 percentage points. But the real moat here isn't just intelligence, it's economics. Google is charging just $2 per million input tokens. That's about 7.5 times cheaper than Claude Opus 4.6. By offering state-of-the-art intelligence at commodity pricing, Google is trying to squeeze the profit margins out of the reasoning layer itself. They want Gemini to be the default plumbing for the entire corporate internet. Nowhere is this battle more intense than in software engineering. The way we write code is fundamentally fracturing into two philosophies. In one corner, we have GitHub Copilot, powered by OpenAI's GPT 5.3 codex. This is reactive autonomy. It lives inside your editor. It watches you type, and it predicts the next block of code. It's incredibly fast, very safe, and requires a human to press Tab to approve everything. It's the enterprise standard for 2026. In the other corner, we have Google Antigravity. This is an entirely new AI-native IDE based on proactive autonomy. Instead of auto-completing your code, you act like a manager. You dispatch an AI agent to build a UI. That agent autonomously writes the code, opens a hidden web browser, clicks the buttons, spots an error, and debugs it, all asynchronously while you work on something else. Antigravity is basically software development as a spectator sport. It's undeniably the future, but right now, Copilot is what risk-averse, highly regulated enterprises are actually buying. But giving AI this much autonomy introduces terrifying new security flaws. Welcome to the era of indirect prompt injection. Attackers no longer need to trick the AI in a chat window. They hide malicious instructions inside a seemingly normal PDF or an email. When an autonomous agent like Gemini ingests that document, it can unknowingly execute the hidden payload, exfiltrating corporate data right past traditional firewalls. Because AI isn't just software anymore, it's the execution layer of the business. To prevent catastrophic misuse, Google tests Gemini 3.1 Pro against the Frontier Safety Framework, evaluating it for biological, chemical, and cyber-offensive threats. While Gemini's new Deep Think mode showed intense situational awareness, it thankfully stayed well below the alert thresholds for critical infrastructure threats. For now. The era of brute force AI scaling is over. The winners in 2026 won't just be the ones with the smartest models. They'll be the ones who can wrap that intelligence in secure, auditable, and economically viable enterprise platforms. Google Gemini 3.1 Pro is a massive disruptive leap in that direction. But with Anthropic's reliability, OpenAI's developer dominance, and DeepSeek's open-await revolution, the board is set for a historic clash.
Brute force era fade away. Watch the winners lead the way. Enterprise secured so tight, with economically shining light. Here comes the leap, so powerful, a disruptor, magical. Google Gemini 3.1 Pro.